essay, essay, paper, paper, thesis, thesis, dissertation, dissertation, deadline, deadline, due time, due time, meet the deadline, meet the deadline, miss the deadline, miss the deadline, ask for extension, ask for extension, reasonable excuse, reasonable excuse, draft, draft, heading, heading, abstract, abstract, italic, italic, outline, outline, margin, margin, research method, research method, survey, survey, interview, interview, questionnaire, questionnaire, field research, field research, field trip, field trip, investigation, investigation, observation, observation, case study, case study, analysis, analysis, analyze data, analyze data, respondents, respondents, scholarship, scholarship, fellowship, fellowship, grant, grant, arts, arts, science, science, social science, social science, sociology, sociology, genetics, genetics, microbiology, microbiology, psychology, psychology, psycholinguistics, psycholinguistics, philosophy, philosophy, finance, finance, law, law, architecture, architecture, biochemistry, biochemistry, statistics, statistics, zoology, zoology, archaeology, archaeology, agriculture, agriculture, engineering, engineering, president, president, principal, principal, dean, dean, professor, professor, office hour, office hour, tutor, tutor, support tutor, support tutor, welfare tutor, welfare tutor, lecturer, lecturer, coordinator, coordinator, course coordinator, course coordinator, teaching assistant, teaching assistant, counselor, counselor, advisor, advisor, elementary, elementary, intermediate, intermediate, advanced course, advanced course, flexible study time, flexible study time, internship, internship, qualification, qualification, certificate course, certificate course, diploma course, diploma course, degree, degree, bachelor's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, master's degree, postgraduate school, postgraduate school, undergraduate student, undergraduate student, postgraduate student, postgraduate student, semester, semester, term, term, catalogs, catalogs, closed reserve, closed reserve, reference section, reference section, circulation desk, circulation desk, information desk, information desk, current issue, current issue, newspaper shelves, newspaper shelves, conference room, conference room, journal, journal, periodical, periodical, magazine, magazine, essay, paper, thesis, dissertation, deadline, due time, meet the deadline, miss the deadline, ask for extension, reasonable excuse, draft, heading, abstract, italic, outline, margin, research method, survey, interview, questionnaire, field research, field trip, investigation, observation, case study, analysis, analyze data, respondents, scholarship, fellowship, grant, arts, science, social science, sociology, genetics, microbiology, psychology, psycholinguistics, philosophy, finance, law, architecture, biochemistry, statistics, zoology, archaeology, agriculture, engineering, president, principal, dean, professor, office hour, tutor, support tutor, welfare tutor, lecturer, coordinator, course coordinator, teaching assistant, counselor, advisor, elementary, intermediate, advanced course, flexible study time, internship, qualification, certificate course, diploma course, degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, postgraduate school, undergraduate student, postgraduate student, semester, term, catalogs, closed reserve, reference section, circulation desk, information desk, current issue, newspaper shelves, conference room, journal, periodical, magazine.
Once upon a time, in a faraway university, there was a young student named John who was studying sociology. John had a major dissertation to submit, which would shape the future of his academic journey. The subject of his dissertation was Social Attitudes to Genetics in the 21st Century. This was a crucial project for John, as it was not only necessary for him to graduate with his bachelor's degree in sociology, but also because it gave him an opportunity to win a coveted scholarship that could propel him into a postgraduate school. John had taken all the appropriate intermediate and then advanced courses, and he felt ready until he looked at the calendar. The deadline for his thesis submission was much closer than he had realized. Panic set in as he realized he needed to meet the deadline without risking the quality of his work. He spent weeks in the library, surrounded by journal articles, periodicals, magazines, literature, and encyclopedia volumes to strengthen his literature review. He even checked out cassette recordings of interviews from the cassette section to understand the historical context of his research method. He knew he had to conduct a survey and prepare a questionnaire for his field research, which could include everything from a simple field trip for observation to a comprehensive case study. The days flew by, and John spent a lot of time in the research method section, arranging interviews with respondents for his survey. It was during that phase he made an astonishing discovery in the realm of genetics that could significantly affect his analysis. As John analyzed data he had collected, he realized the dissertation might open doors for a fellowship or a grant, aside from the scholarship he initially aimed for. But he was so caught up in his investigation that he didn't notice the due time was almost upon him. Panicking again, John started to work double time. He outlined his paper starting from the abstract, typed in italic for emphasis, down to the body which included the heading, outline, and draft of his analysis. He kept careful margin notes and made sure his draft included all necessary details like the architecture of his questionnaire design and the fieldwork. He barely slept, skipping meals and office hours with his professor, dean, and even the president of the sociology department, who often took an interest in promising students. He had to complete his work without the aid of his tutor or teaching assistant, who were available during flexible study time to clarify doubts during their scheduled office hour. In his rush, John even considered asking for an extension. He wondered if his reasonable excuse of groundbreaking research would be enough, but he didn't want to miss the deadline and jeopardize his scholarship opportunities. It was essential for him to present his findings at the end of the semester, and he had no choice but to keep going. 2 weeks before the final date, John had his dissertation full of observations about psychology, psycholinguistics, philosophy, as well as zoology, all related to genetics, biochemistry, and microbiology, and even interlinked to statistics from science and arts perspective. His work was indeed a fusion of social science and hard science. Finally, after many surveys, interviews, and questionnaire analyses, John's draft was ready. He included a catalog of references and made sure to use the closed reserve and reference section of the library efficiently. He often went to the circulation desk or information desk for help locating additional sources, and his name became known among the archives and newspaper shelves. John organized his arguments, citation, and evidence. He remembered the importance of different roles in a university. The coordinator coordinated the schedules, the course coordinator provided the necessary materials, and the lecturer influenced him to understand the depths of sociology, agriculture, law, finance, archaeology, and even engineering insights as applicable to his research. The night before the submission, John double-checked everything. The headings were all in order, the outline as detailed as a map, and every single italic term emphasized just right. He gathered his abstract, his questionnaire results, the analysis with margin notes, and realized with relief that he was done. Running on adrenaline, he reached the conference room to submit his dissertation, only to realize he had forgotten a crucial piece of analysis on a cassette back in his dorm room. A flash of horror passed through as he contemplated whether he would miss the deadline or if there was time enough to dash back and grab it. Luckily, he was just in time. The office was still open. A few hours later, with the missing piece incorporated, he returned to the conference room and handed in his work. His eyes were bleary, his hands were shaking, but he was smiling. He had managed to meet the deadline, and now he could only wait. That morning, after John submitted his paper, he didn't go to bed. Instead, he walked across the campus, reflecting on everything. The elementary basics he'd learned in his early days, the qualifications he'd gained, the certificate course he'd found enriching, and the degree that was soon to be his, along with the hopes of a master's degree. As the sun rose, setting the sky alight with colors over the agriculture fields and engineering departments, a slight breeze picked up and ruffled the pages of his draft that John still carried. He smiled, knowing whatever happened, he had achieved something great. Exhausted but exhilarated, John was ready for whatever came next.